don't do podiums very well. Can y'all hear me in the back? I'll use my voice. My daughters call it my Marine voice, and usually it means they're in trouble. No one's in trouble, but I'll try and project as best I can. I actually brought something I want to share with you today. This is my leadership toolbox. Believe it or not, graduates, as well as your parents, grandparents, you all have a toolbox. Everyone has a toolbox. And this week, while you're here at camp, or I guess is it safe to call it camp? Okay, when you were here at camp, hopefully you picked up some tools, some leadership tools to put into your toolbox. And I'm going to share with you today just a little bit of what's in my leadership toolbox that I've used throughout my career. Notice first of all it says it's a craftsman. I'm a craftsman. You just don't have any toolbox. You want to take care of your toolbox and what's in it. Band-Aids. Sometimes I hurt myself when you're doing things. You put yourself out there, so I keep Band-Aids in there. Screwdrivers. Sometimes all you have to do is tighten things up just a little bit and it'll all be better. It doesn't take a lot to make changes when you're doing leadership. So it's good to have a couple of screwdrivers. My favorite, multi-purpose tool. I can do pretty much anything with this tool. It's a great tool to have, and that's what you want to be known as a leader, a multi-purpose leader. Sometimes, you just got to drive your point home, and a hammer helps you do that. So you need a hammer in your toolbox. Leadership. I first learned it in the Marine Corps. Some people are born leaders, but it still has to be refined. We can all be leaders. This book, Guidebook for Marines, was given to me when I enlisted in the Marine Corps and went to boot camp and earned the title of Marine. This is a great book. It tells me how to throw a hand grenade. It tells me how to take apart a pistol or a rifle, clean it, put it back together. But it also taught me basic leadership principles. The Marine Corps considers 14 basic leadership principles, and I can rattle them off. Justice, judgment, dependability, integrity, decisiveness, bearing, unselfishness, knowledge, courage, loyalty, endurance. But it means more just to rattle them off. You have to know and use those daily and recognize the opportunities to use them. So you learn that as a young Marine. Then you get more advanced. Leading Marines. I lived in the desert a long time as a Marine, and I trained and fought in the desert. So a desert handbook helped me build leadership. It helped me recognize things that I would need to use to train Marines. History. Colonel Leo Thorsis, who lives here in Madison, Medal of Honor winner. You learn leadership by learning and reading history. And there's opportunities to grow and expand your leadership in this book. So that was my Marine career. Now what I do as a legislator in my toolbox, the Constitution, the founding document. I've got to know this Constitution. You should know this Constitution. This book helps me know that Constitution. The legislative process in Montgomery. Just because I got elected and sent to Montgomery didn't mean I suddenly knew all the answers. I had to get in here and read and understand the process by which laws are made. There are good laws that we help pass. There are bad laws that we block. Financial peace. You need to learn how to do finances in order to be a leader. That's another thing that you pick up. Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey. It's a good book to have as well. You and your cat. Sometimes you got to clean your toolbox out.
Hey, nobody.
A long time ago we had a cat, and I thought this book would help me learn how to take care of my cat. It didn't work. This is a waste of money. But my hobby. I like Corvettes. Corvette restoration. How does leadership help me? How does leadership fit into Corvette restoration? Not only is my hobby of having a Corvette and driving my Corvette and restoring my Corvette, but I'm able to take that hobby with other Corvette enthusiasts and turn it into something positive We do things with the Marine Corps towards the tots. We do Wounded Warrior Weekend with the Wounded Warriors that come in and ride in the Veterans Day Parade, and we coordinate with those. That's all leadership opportunities. Another tool I forgot to show you, the level. Sometimes I'm not very level-headed. I need to use this tool more, but that's part of leadership. And the greatest tool in my toolbox, my Bible. There's a lot to learn about leadership in the Bible. Of course, as I share all this with you about leadership, and I bring this to you, I hope when you go back to school, go back home, and you begin to find a leadership challenge or an opportunity to use some of the leadership that you've experienced this week at camp, or these few days at camp, that you will visualize my toolbox, which is now your toolbox. Some of our toolboxes are a lot bigger, some of them are a lot smaller. It's going to grow over time. And what you need to do is find those leadership opportunities, use those leadership experiences, and then put them in your toolbox. And they're there for you over time, as you're able to put yourself in situations to grow as a leader. Now, in closing, I'm going to share a few points as you think about your visual toolbox and what you've learned this week to put into your toolbox. These are a handful of leadership traits that I learned as a Marine Corps, as a Marine, that I continue to try and show in my community. I try and show in my family. I try and show in church. Number one, lead by example. Put it this way: walk the walk, talk the talk. Someone is watching you. Someone is looking up to you. The way you dress, the way you carry yourself, the way you take care of yourself, the way you make the right choices, the right decisions. That's leading by example. And it's best done when nobody's watching you. But trust me, your friends are watching you. People you don't consider friends at school are watching you. Lead by example. Be decisive. Adults have a hard time with this one sometimes. I call it the 80% solution. A lot of times, we'll go into analysis paralysis. We're ready to think, we want to make a decision, and some of you guys are a little bit younger, that you haven't experienced this yet, but you're ready to make a decision, you're ready to do something, but you're trying to wait just a little bit longer to try and make sure you're making the right decision. And if you continue to do that, you will never ever make the decision. The 80% solution, once you think you've got it, the 80% solution, if you follow through with it, will solve 100% of your problems. And that's what we have to do, because that will help you engage. Having a plan is very important. One of my favorite sayings from a friend of mine that was a former commander of mine, he said, a plan is nothing more than a common point we all deviate from upon first contact with the enemy. In other words, we have a great plan and we move forward, and the first shot is fired. The plan, everybody forgets it. Does their own thing. But you have to have a plan. You have to be prepared to execute your plan, but you also have to be prepared to adjust your plan as you move along. Get out of your comfort zone. I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone. Some of you probably did that over the last couple of days. You got out of your comfort zone and you experienced a little bit of that discomfort of, uh-oh, everybody's looking at me. Kind of like I feel right now. But that's okay, because you're growing and you're challenging yourself. If you're comfortable in what you're doing every day, you're not trying hard enough. You've got to get out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself. Push yourself. And the last one I'll share with you, which is very important, is never ever outrun your level of experience. As I say, push yourself and challenge yourself, the opportunities are going to come where you might find yourself on the edge of your level of experience. If you outrun your level of experience, you can hurt yourself and you can hurt those around you. And so only you know when someone asks you to do something, whether or not you have the level of experience to be able to do what they're asking you to do. But you've got to challenge yourself and find that balance between the two. And that's what I encourage you to do. So, as you leave here and go back to school on Monday, I guess you're not getting Monday off, so as you go back to school on Monday, as you go back to church tomorrow, as you go back into the community, take the leadership skills that you've learned here over the last few days and look for ways to employ them, whether it be in your extracurricular activities. Some of you may be band or choir or play sports, cheerleading, gymnastics, whatever. Look for opportunities to utilize the leadership skills that you've learned and put them to use so that you can help make the organizations that you're a part of better, but also make your community better. Thank you.